Welcome back to SaharaTV. My name is Rodolfo Okonkwo. This is our special edition on the life and times and legacy of Chinua Achebe, who passed away yesterday. And today we have a scholar who has done a lot of work on the contribution of Chinua Achebe to African literature. We have Professor Obi Obiwu, popularly known as Obi Obiwu. Obi Obiwu, welcome to SaharaTV.
Thank you very much.
Now, Obi Obiwu teaches literature at Central State University in Ohio. Now, Obi Obiwu, let me start by telling you, how did you receive the news yesterday of the passing of Professor Chinua Achebe?
Yeah, in fact, it was a shock. A friend had called me from New York very early in the morning to ask me if I've heard the news, and I couldn't believe it.
So, what do you think about his contribution to African literature?
You know, African literature has become a discipline today, thanks to Chinua Achebe.
At the beginning, Achebe's works dealt with the conflict between the West and the traditional African society. Many people are saying that the young writers of your generation who came after him, they've moved away from that. Where is the idea, the writing world today? Where is it focused on? And what are people focused on in terms of their writing pursuits?
You know, I've heard that story in recent times, particularly in the past 5 or 10 years, repeated. But I will tell you this: that is the greatest fallacy ever told. I don't know what any young writer, so-called young writer, is writing today that is different from what Achebe wrote. For instance, I live in the U.S. here, and majority of us, the so-called younger African scholars and writers, live in the United States. Some of us live in Europe. But the truth is that the real discourses we are having today in the American academia are about, gender, sexuality, abuse, sexual abuse, child abuse, and all whatnot. Things Fall Apart is a novel that is timeless. Hello, are you hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. Things Fall Apart is a novel that is timeless. In fact, it depends on how the novel was read in the past and how the so-called young writers, some of them, people who come from the creative writing discipline, and do not have a good grounding in literary criticism or literary theory, keep, parading such stupidities about Achebe or his writing belonging to the past. But for goodness sake, when you talk about religious fanaticism, that is what Mr. Smith and Mr. Brown in Achebe's fiction is about. That is what, in fact, the character of Okonkwo is about. That he refused to give room, make way to a new religion that is different from his, and that he could even kill his stepson, Ikemefuna, because of it, and that he was ready to wipe out the purveyors of the new religion because of it. He was a wife abuser. These are the things we still talk about today. So when you see some of the, cheap writings of some young writers who think that they have arrived by, traducing Achebe, it's funny. But I think they should go back and read the novel again. Read it with the eye of people who live in the West or who have read great literature, not with people who are trying to, it's like talking down Achebe is like this, the night that will kill the sun in order to shine. Of course, the sun has to give way for darkness to rise. Anyway.
Now, in the West and most part of the world, people know about Things Fall Apart. What do you consider the best work of Chinua Achebe, and why do you think that people should pay more attention to that particular work?
For me, I find it difficult to choose sometimes, but I like four of his work better. I like Things Fall Apart, #1. I like Arrow of God. I like Tales of the Savannah, his last novel, published 1987. And I like his poetry. These are the four work I would recommend to anybody, any day. No longer it is, and the amount of the people I equally good at me. Achebe, to say that Achebe has, Achebe's writing is like, who will I compare it with? It's like Tiger Woods playing golf or Michael Jackson playing music. They really cannot play anything that is bad. But it's just that they are bad. It could be the best of the best writer out there or the best player out there. So Achebe is great any day.
I noticed that you did not mention there was a country, which was probably the most controversial.
No, actually, sorry. I was talking mainly about his creative writing.
Okay.
No?
Okay. Now let's discuss that, because he also intervened in Nigerian political discourse. We know about the trouble with Nigeria and the memoir There Was a Country. So how do you see his interventions, and are you worried that now that he's no longer there, that there might be a vacuum that somebody might need to fill in?
In fact, let me tell you, I have not read any other autobiographical work or work of memoir in African writing, greater than There Was a Country, since I read Wole Soyinka's The Man Died, at least in Black African writing, so to speak. So the Man Died is the next closest to the way I read and perceive There Was a Country. Achebe has had interventions in politics over the years. It's not surprising that Achebe and Soyinka were both members of the PRP, People's Redemption Party, which was founded by Malam Aminu Kano, in the 70s and 80s Nigeria. So it was his experience in politics, in participatory politics, his membership of PRP, and the corruption he observed as a politician that actually led to his writing of The Trouble with Nigeria. But There Was a Country is a book that he had to write. It is a book that must be written, and believe me, it's a book that no other person could have written but Achebe. I mean, how do we explain that 40 years after the Civil War, that there had not been any major text by a Nigerian on the real issues of the Civil War, apart from people pandering to their own, partisanship. But I mean, if you ask somebody from the north, they will give you an example of a book written by some white man, and then Western Nigeria, writers, apart from, well, maybe Obasanjo writing his own memoirs, have not actually taken interest in addressing the issue of the Civil War. I can understand a few people, who are Awoyis or Awolowo sympathizers, getting angry and emotional about what Achebe wrote. But hey, let them deal with it, because Achebe is not going to speak for Awolowo. Awolowo and his sympathizers can speak for themselves. What Achebe wrote in There Was a Country is what happened, what every adult Igbo man and every adult Biafran saw in the war. What people have been talking about behind closed doors, that nobody had the authority or integrity or the courage to speak out in public. So Achebe spoke for everybody from that part of Nigeria, spoke for me, and anybody who doesn't like it should perhaps go and represent their own point of view. Achebe has no apologies for anybody about what he said in There Was a Country.
All right, we have about 2 more minutes, and I want to ask you, because a lot of people are now making comments on Achebe based on this last book. It appears to many people that's basically the only book they remember. What do you say to those people who are looking at one book as their perception of Achebe, the writer?
Yeah, I mean, they're ignorant. That's all I have to say about them. If anybody knows Achebe with There Was a Country, well, the person needs to go and read. Achebe is the writer of Things Fall Apart. Achebe is the writer of Archives of the Savannah and the Arrow of God. Achebe is a poet. Achebe is a scholar, a professor in the university. Achebe was a Biafran partisan, a Biafran partisan, not just a standby observer. People need to go and, what I like is that somebody like Wole Soyinka has spoken out both first time around 1987 when Achebe first came out with this annoying, what some people consider annoying statements about Chief Obafemi Awolowo, and the Lagos State University withdrew their honorary doctorate degree they were going to give him. Soyinka nominated him for the same honorary doctorate degree at the University of Ife, which was awarded to him the same year. And this time around, some scholars, some young people who were 18 years and 20 years at the time of the incident happened in Western Nigeria, are coming out to call Achebe a tribalist based on their limited knowledge, which is unfortunate. But Soyinka again came out to say that there was genocide. At one point I need to make is that
save the rainforest.
There is a danger of some Western Nigerian scholars who, in their defense of Awolowo, are beginning to give the impression as if they were actually justifiers of the genocide that was committed in northern Nigeria. Okay? So I think they should be careful how they defend their godfather Awolowo in trying to attack Achebe. Don't justify genocide because you're angry about what somebody said about somebody else.
All right, one last. We have to. Yeah, we have to. We don't have a lot of time left. Now, one last question, briefly. Do you think that 100 years from now, people will still be reading Achebe's work?
Hey, anybody who doesn't read Achebe in 100 years time, what are they? Achebe is a master. There is a reason why he's a master. People will read Achebe. People will read Soyinka. These people are relevant in social and political life of a whole continent and a whole race.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor Obiwu. We're glad that you could come on our show.
Thank you.
All right. That was Professor Obiwu talking to us from Ohio. When we come back, we are going to talk to Ndoka Otieno, who is in Canada. We're also going to talk to Olu Ogibe, who is going to join us from Connecticut, and other scholars who are friends and family friends and students and associates of Professor Chinua Achebe, who passed away yesterday. We'll be right back.